with you, because you're new to politics, let's talk about what motivated you to run for Senate in particular.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a 6th-generation Arkansas farmer, but like so many other farmers, we actually had to close this year. And it didn't really matter what we did or what crops we planted or even how hard we worked. It just financially wasn't enough. And that's true for so many farmers still today. And what's even more true is that you don't have to be a farmer to understand what it feels like to work hard and do everything right and still fall behind, not because we have failed, but because the system is rigged against real people here in Arkansas. It's rigged in favor of billionaires and land barons and big corporations and politicians. And our politician, Tom Cotton, is one of the ones doing the rigging. I mean, he went to DC over a decade ago and pulled the ladder up behind him. And worse than deserting us, he actively votes against us every chance he gets, like voting against the Farm Bill twice. So
he had an argument for that. It had too much SNAP benefits in it.
Yeah, well.
Still a no is a no.
Well, and it's so much more than that. It's really, the Farm Bill, what a lot of people don't understand is the Farm Bill isn't about farmers, it's about food. It's about feeding people, right? And you have to, the reason that he voted against it twice is because he doesn't care about feeding people. He does not care that we are the most food insecure. He does not care that we are the hungriest state in the country. He does not care that 1 in 4 children in Arkansas will go to bed hungry tonight. But I care, and the reason that I'm running is because if I can't do the thing that I wanted to do, which was if I can't do the thing that I wanted to do, which was farm, I'm going to fight for farmers, for workers, for families, and for hungry children here in Arkansas.
Do you think you are finished with farming? You don't think you'll ever go back?
You know, farming is the best job in the world when you can make money, right? I mean, the anxiety if you can't make a living farming is pretty significant. Farmers, we're the kinds of people that put everything on the line every single year. We're risk takers, we're innovators. People ask me, you know, how are you going to beat Tom Cotton? Well, I'm a farmer. I mean, I know what it's like to take risks. I know what it's like to work. And let me tell you, I'm going to outwork him.
That's a good analogy about a farmer being someone who knows all angles. Talk about entering politics. How did the challenges you were facing with your family farm influence your decision to run for public office? And what would you say to those who argue, well, you are a farmer, that's what you know, but there's so much else to being a U.S. Senator.
Right. Well, so I think the real inspiration, the real motivation was I was invited to speak at a town hall. When we closed the farm, we made the decision in February. I mean, I remember the day. I had 6 different spreadsheets in front of me. I was trying to figure out what I could plant, what I could predict in terms of what the market would do. At that point, we didn't know whether or not we would have tariffs. And I ultimately called my mom. As a 6th-generation farmer, as a young farmer, I don't own anything. I didn't own the equipment or the land. I called my mom and I said, I can't guarantee you that if we do this another year, we might not be in a hole so deep that you lose your house or your 401k. My parents are both in their 70s. My dad has dementia. He will eventually need expensive memory care.
I'm so sorry.
And it just wasn't going to be sustainable. And so we decided to close. I went online. It was kind of the first time I decided to go online and to tell the story about the farm closing because people weren't talking about it. They're talking about it now, which I do want to talk about, but I was called by someone who works in Faulkner County, and she said, we're going to have this big town hall in March, come talk. So I said, okay, I'll do this. And 2 days before I went, we auctioned off all our equipment. I mean, that's what you do. If you close, you auction off all your equipment so you can pay off your loans. And so as I stood on the stage, strangers were literally hauling away the very last pieces of a 150-year-old operation.
That had to be gut-wrenching.
Our elected officials didn't come to that town hall. They were a few miles away at a re-election fundraiser for Tom Cotton at $7,000 a plate. And in that moment, I knew, and it's not just farmers who are losing their livelihoods. It's not just farmers who know what it's like to work hard and still not make it. We're talking about workers and families who are trying to stretch paychecks much farther than they will go. Much farther. I think for real people here in Arkansas, we don't complain that the work is hard. We just want a fair deal. And Tom Cotton, if he would just get his dress loafer off our necks, we could do so much better than what we're doing now.
Let's talk about you. What do you see as the most urgent challenges Arkansas families, Arkansans, and rural communities are facing right now, besides the fact that there's a government shutdown?
I mean, we are unfortunately one of the poorest and sickest and hungriest states in the country. Right now, the number one issue in my mind is the fact that we don't have good jobs with good wages. We cannot afford our health care, and children and families are hungry in this state. And what I say about, if you want to bring it back to SNAP specifically, we could make real meaningful investments in our communities, both rural and urban. We could lift up the people of Arkansas so that we don't need as much of a social safety net. Oh, there's so many ways. So one of the ways that I like to talk about this is, so in Arkansas, I'm a proud farmer, rice and soybeans. Well, most of what we grow here in Arkansas is rice and soybeans, and for the most part, it's soybeans. And soybeans feed animals and not people. If you do a map of the United States and you color code it by the crops that we grow, we are dark green for soybeans. The Midwest is dark yellow for corn. Again, we don't eat soybeans. Now imagine if we grew food. Imagine if we grew the food that people eat. We could create a sustainable food system in this state that puts money back into the pockets of farmers and puts fresh, healthy food on the plates of Arkansas families and on the trays of kids in Arkansas's public school cafeterias, because the largest restaurant in the United States, public school cafeterias.
In what ways do you think the Washington policies or Cotton's Washington insider position, as you kind of place them, have hurt Arkansas in general and even Arkansas agriculture? What would you do differently?
Well, I think, from a larger sort of bird's eye perspective, we know that Tom Cotton's only economic policy is tax cuts and loopholes for billionaires and land barons and corporations instead of the millions of hardworking Arkansans. We know that he wants to undermine Social Security and Medicare because he believes that those are entitlement programs instead of the return on investment that our seniors have made into the economy of Arkansas. My parents, I saw them do back-breaking work for years, paying into the system, contributing to the economy, and they deserve a return on investment so that they can retire in comfort and age and dignity. We also know that Tom Cotton just voted for the One Big Beautiful Bill, which guts Medicaid and SNAP in a state that is, again, one of the poorest, sickest, and hungriest. 1 in 4 children in the state of Arkansas will go to bed hungry tonight.
And
we have to address those issues.
Do you think it's worse now because of the shutdown, obviously?
It will be significantly worse. I am on the board of one of the Feeding America food banks here in the state of Arkansas. I have met with several of the CEOs of food banks, and I know that there is no way that the food banks are going to make up the large gap that is left by the federal government pulling out of its commitment to feed hungry people. And icing on the cake, Tom Cotton voted against the Farm Bill twice. And not only that, he supports us now sending $40 billion to another country. So instead of addressing the issues we have here in the state of Arkansas, the crisis that we're experiencing right now, the completely solvable problems that we have here in the state, he's looking at Argentina and said, they have a crisis, let's go give them hard-earned American taxpayer dollars. And let me tell you, farmers, we're not happy about that. We are not. And more than that, we are now supporting a possible import of Argentinian beef. And I tell people, you know what? You do not want to mess with farmers. You do not want to mess with ranchers. And here's the reason. When a farm goes out of business, it is not just the farmer that suffers. It's the workers' wives, their kids. It's the mechanics that service our trucks and our equipment. It's our accountants and our attorneys. It's our lenders, the banks and small communities that rely on agricultural lending. They close. Simmons Bank here in Little Rock gets weaker. I am not talking about us a little trickle down effect.
Right.
A farm
right,
closes, it is
understand.
like flushing a toilet for those communities that rely on
I'm
farming.
running out of time with you, unfortunately,
Oh.
and I do want to ask one more question. The job of a senator is far more than running a family business. Do you truly believe that you can win over an incumbent like him with a lengthy record of being sent back? And why did you choose? Why did you not choose maybe a smaller position first to get your feet wet?
Well, I think that the most important thing is that I'm going to go to Washington and give those people a dose of reality. This is what life is like in the state of Arkansas from someone who's actually done the work. Arkansans all over the state, we're tired. We're tired of the fact that Tom Cotton didn't just desert us, he's actively working against us. He's a resident of Virginia. He is using Arkansas as a stepping stone for his own national ambitions, and we are sick of it. He has made himself very vulnerable in this state because people are waking up and saying, we deserve so much better. He doesn't care, but I do. I'm going to fight for Arkansas because I know what it's like to live here right now, and I care.